You obviously have some idea of what to expect, having seen the barrier at Ozasla, but having not had that pleasure myself, I'm exceedingly curious to see a wall capable of keeping out one of those massive Imperial airships. As expected, Suenosato failed to answer the call. Not that I blamed the Ruby Princess. Enlightened as she is reputed to be, it would be no easy task persuading her people to relinquish their long-held isolation. I was going to say that sounded a lot like what she had said earlier, but I think it was a bit different. But I could be wrong. If we can but block the Garlean airships, the speed with which they deploy their forces will be greatly diminished. I'm sure they're going to say the same thing, but... No, the jungles of Nangsha are dense and treacherous. The land itself prevents the Empire from ever truly conquering our nation. Long have we hidden behind bough and branch, striking where and when we can. That's interesting, because it was... Well, yeah, like, the Azim Steppe was another place that the Empire just seemingly never really tried to take over. It's just interesting to think that there are regions like that where they're just like, it's not worth the hassle. When the Empire put down Dalmasca's bid for freedom, our remaining forces were splintered. Bringing the scattered pockets of resistance back under a single banner will be our first order of business. Yeah, and you can't click on him. I don't know who he is. One after another, tribes from across the steppe have come forth to pledge their warriors to the Alliance. Many simply crave a chance to seize glory in battle, it is true, but their eagerness is most welcome nonetheless. Out on the open sea, I would happily take on any vessel, but here on dry land is another matter. The Empire's iron monstrosities will ever have the upper hand. If only we could persuade our kin of the error of their ways. With the red at our side, we would make a truly formidable force. See, and I wonder if this stuff is going to start to come into place in Endwalker. Where we'll see, the red finally join up. Maybe the Kaliana will come to their senses. We'll actually see Dalmasca be ready, formed and ready to join in. That would be awesome. Seiryu's Wall. Hien is eager to see the energy barrier in action. We will cross the burn by Yul and Falcon as before. Join me at the overlook near the House of the Fierce. Just gonna check. Yeah. So yeah, from what I recall, this is where we test out the wall. Oh, just go straight to House of the Fierce. I want to say that it comes across that the wall is going to be tested because we see an Imperial ship, but then it turns out that that is Gaius and his crew with Alphino that has already... He was taken, I think, during that last cutscene or whatever, the last time we heard from Graha. Let us pray there are no sandstorms brewing out there. Yeah, and it's just us. Okay. Give the word when you are ready to take wing. Let's go. Can't imagine how much time it took to set all this up. You know, it just makes you think about the overall timeline. And that all of this is supposed to have taken place over like a year.
It seems the engineers have matters well in hand. Should the barrier work as we intend, Doma will be free to reinforce her allies in Alamigo without fear of weakening her own borders. Honored friends, the time has come to put your hard work to the test. Start the generator.
Node 1 is operational. Nodes 2 to 8 are reporting similar energy levels. The barrier is forming. $1,000 yards, 2,000, 3,000. Expansion remains smooth. No fluctuations detected.
There's a big wall.
4,000, 5,000. Target altitude reached. The barrier is holding steady at 5,000 yards. We've done it.
Yep.
Is that an Imperial airship? Of all the rotten timing.
You think
This is a gift, Mistress Alice.
Yeah.
They can test our new wall for us.
Yeah, just one ship, and that's a small one, too.
Seems solid enough, though I was hoping for a fireball.
I mean, good thing that it wasn't. Yep.
By the gods. It's Alpha now. What are you? Let me go! He has my brother!
Lower the barrier!
Be at ease, girl. The lad is not dead, merely locked in slumber.
No, not him too.
It doesn't matter where you are in the world.
We could identify no cause and found no remedy. Thus I sought to return him to Doma, and into the arms of Lord Hien himself, it would seem. It is a day for fated reunions. Would you not agree, adventurer? Or should I address you as the Warrior of Light?
Was that La Habrea's mask? I didn't even notice at first, but that must have been it. And that's how she's able to Identify him.
I, Gaius van Baelsar, the Black Wolf. That was the title I was given, one I have long since relinquished. Stand down. The legatus of the 14th Imperial Legion died in Castrum Meridianum. I am no more than Gaius Baelsar, a man without rank or allegiance.
Impossible! There's no way you could have survived!
Do you remember how it unfolded? How I was deceived by La Habrea? How I was convinced that reviving the Ultima weapon would allow me to bring peace to Eorzea? The Ascian used me, as he used so many others, all to further the restoration of his wretched god. Yet even with the might of Alec at my command, you bested me. And as the Praetorium went up in flames, I was content to burn along with it. For a moment, at least. A moment of folly. To surrender my life thus would have been to betray all who died for my cause. It was for them that I dragged myself free of the rubble, and swore vengeance on the Ascians.
Yeah.
The Black Wolf has shed his pelt, never to return to Garlemald or her legions. I live now only to exact revenge. My principal quarry was to be La Habrea, whom I gather you have since ushered onto oblivion. But so many more remain. Long as their kind lurked in the shadows, laboring to sow chaos throughout our world, I would see each and every one dragged into the light and put to the sword. Are the Scions not of like mind?
In this single respect, perhaps.
Then I shall continue the partnership the boy began, and share what intelligence I have acquired. Among the Ascians, the Black-Masked Ilk are subordinate to those who wear red. This you already know. Yet among the Red there exists a hierarchy. Those set adrift with the shards clearly stand below those still joined to the source. Nabriales, who once dared to intrude upon the Rising Stones, belonged to the former group, and while he was indeed a dangerous foe, his powers were inconsequential next to the paragons of the Source. The first was La Habrea, who plagues us no more. There is also the white-robed Elidibus, and the elusive Emmet Selk, about whom little is known.
We have files on La Habrea and Elidibus, but I believe this Emmet Selk is new to us? As I assume my brother told you, we have evidence to suggest that an Ascian now walks in the body of the Crown Prince. Have you identified this interloper?
Elidibus seems the most likely culprit. As emissary, it is his role to maintain the equilibrium between darkness and light. Your many deeds in Hydaelyn's name have upset the balance, and I believe he seeks to restore it by throwing his considerable power behind the Empire. As a leader of the Ascians, he is one of our primary targets. It was on the trail of this very prey that the boy and I came across the scene of a failed uprising. In the absence of a single Garlean casualty, we inspected the bodies of the rebels, and the lack of any external injury drew my immediate attention. They had been slain by Black Rose, an alchemical invention of the Imperial Army. When I yet served as legatus, I ordered its production halted, and all stockpiles destroyed. Toxic gas is not a tool of conquest, but of extermination.
Toxic gas? This must be the new weapon Maxima warned us about. Something deadly enough to sweep away all resistance in a matter of hours. Gods. You don't think they're planning to use this in Alamigo, do you?
Put your fears to rest. We infiltrated the production facility and destroyed all existing stores of the chemical along with the plant itself. Even should they rebuild the operation, they will not soon manufacture another batch.
Except I think they do, don't they?
Regardless, I would draw your attention to a directive we discovered in the plant's records. The document was marked with a recent date and authorized with the signature of one Zeno Galvas.
A dead man signing the death warrant for thousands. 'Tis bad comedy.
But the tale does not end there. Within that same facility was a chamber filled with devices of elegant design. Cloning technology, we realized. And what should we find in each and every incubator? But a young Emperor Solus. All of which prompts the question, were the Ascians responsible for these abominations, or was it the will of the Emperor?
Or both.
I must know which hand guides the Empire. Though I have given up my rank, I am yet a son of Garlemald, and I will fight for the future of my homeland. It is time I return to the hunting of shadows. We should focus on our common foe. To reopen old quarrels now would serve no purpose.
You saved my brother's life, so I'm willing to let sleeping dogs lie. But in truth, it's not my decision to make.
What will you say? You're right. There are more important matters at hand. We'll settle this another time. I don't even... I'm trying to think of what I would have gone with at the time. I mean, certainly now, you know, I have no need to settle anything. So I'll go with the first.
There was a time when I scorned those who placed their faith in false gods, even as I, in my blinkered conviction, place mine in Ascian promises. Unlike yours, my strength of will and my restraint was found wanting. We shall meet again, warrior of light.
Yeah, I really like Gaius.
So that was the infamous Black Wolf. An unexpected ally, to say the least.
Yeah, I think the Wurlet, I can't remember what the full name.
I am content to leave the fine-tuning of the barrier to cleverer minds. Let us bid our friends from the Ironworks farewell, and see what can be done for Alphino back in Dorma.
The Sorrow of Wurlet, I think, is what it's called. And that was a really good storyline. What uncanny timing that Master Alphino should be returned to us just as we were testing the barrier. I only hope a cure can be found for his malady. Otherwise, the War Council has ended in unanimous agreement. To forestall the Empire's expansion plans in this region, our allies are willing to send troops to fight in Eorzea. Nice. Even should our alliance send a contingent to Eorzea, I will stay here in Doma with the remainder of our forces. As much as I would enjoy taking Imperial heads at your side, we cannot leave our borders undefended. Fair enough. Still, this dude, a mystery. Oh. Alphino is safely ensconced in a private chamber. My finest healer is examining him as we speak. I was just thinking, getting him back to Eorzea is a task, you know, because I don't know how it is. I want to say that the other scions can travel through Aetheryte. But obviously, if your soul is not in your body, you can't do it that way. So he has to be taken by boat all the way back to Eorzea. I've spoken with the physician, and there are no outward signs of illness. Alphino is lost in a sleep from which he cannot be awoken, just like the others. And I was just thinking, I wonder if that's how Tataru comes back to the Rising Stones, as she transports his body back. It seems that even the lands of the Empire were not far enough away to escape that cursed voice. I share your frustration, Alize, I do, but Alphino is returned to us alive and otherwise unharmed. All that remains is to find the means to wake him. Until then, you can but fulfill your duties as a scion. Yours and your brother's both. You're right, of course. There are arrangements to be made, and little time to make them. To business then, my lord. Now that we know Seiru's wall works as intended, can we expect reinforcements for Alamigo? You most certainly can. As promised, we will send troops to bolster our allies in Eorzea without delay. Pray be aware, however, that they will not arrive without delay. Save for some few who boast teleportation magics, the bulk of our force must be transported by sea, a lengthy voyage for which the smaller vessels favored by the Confederacy are ill-equipped. Accordingly, I mean to enlist the assistance of the East Aldernard Trading Company in finding suitable ships. As for navigating the distances in question, we are in the happy position of being able to call upon those who plotted the course of my people's exodus to Eorzea. Beyond the procurement of ships, I think it unlikely that our East Aldernard friends will consent to any involvement in military operations, but I am certain they will afford Alphino a berth, aboard one of their vessels. I shall have a chirurgeon accompany him every ilm of the way to the Rising Stones. You have my thanks, Lord Hien. Yugiri, I will go on ahead with our friends to Alamigo. Enlist all those capable of teleportation and put them on the disposal of the put them at the disposal of the Eorzean Alliance as soon as possible. They will form the vanguard. Yes, my lord. This is exactly what we had hoped for. Lys and the Alliance leaders will be glad indeed to welcome the combined strength of the East. Cutscene. Meanwhile, at the Black Rose chemical plant,
Our supplies of Black Rose have been ruined, but the new plant is already under construction. We should have the first batch ready in time for the offensive, Your Radiance.
See that you do.
Ah, yes, the infamous Black Rose. If I recall correctly, Gaius did not much care for the invention. A ruthless and indiscriminate weapon indeed, this airborne poison. It seems you are capable of making decisions worthy of your bloodline.
With no gift for sorcery, we Garleans must look to Magitech to even the odds. If it spares the needless deaths of our soldiers and serves the cause of this empire, there is no method I would not employ.
How very noble of you.
Truly, though, I must commend you for embracing your role as Emperor. You play the part of the determined ruler well. Sometimes even I catch myself believing.
A silent agent of death. Now that I think on it, Black Rose may well possess the perfect aspect. Slowly but surely, the deluge of light has worked upon the ether here in the source, and the gas should be most susceptible to its influence. Well, I shall leave you to your own devices. Go forth and bloody the land with your grand and glorious war.
While you do what, precisely?
Need you ask? I will be doing what all Ascians do.
I am well aware that your kind exists only to usher in the next calamity. But you seem oblivious to the harm your singular agenda causes to the Empire.
He doesn't care.
You cannot have forgotten the events which followed your mortal demise. Our homeland was plunged into a civil war for your failure to name a successor. The edifice you so carefully constructed was but a hair's breadth from collapse.
Are you truly so naive? You thought me oblivious to the consequences of a departure so painstakingly timed?
It was by design?
Well, of course it was. Though I will admit the resulting panic exceeded even my wildest expectations. But how can you be surprised? Throwing the world into disarray was the very purpose for which this nation was, as you say, so carefully constructed. Now, if you have no further questions, I must be on my way. Since we may not meet again in this lifetime, it would be remiss of me not to offer a word or two of gratitude. I really must thank you for this surplus of vessels. I can mold any host into my own image, but having bodies tailor-made for me in this fashion is so much less tiresome. You dabbled in Allagan cloning techniques, yes? It certainly is a compelling, not to mention entertaining, field of research.
And of all the options available, you chose the Founding Father on whom to experiment. You have a twisted streak to you, Varus, like grandsire, like grandson, hey? If events play out as planned, this will become something of a family enterprise. You will be the capstone of this world, I the anchor and shard, and together we will give the lie to this star's fraudulent existence.
So it was complete coincidence that his body was cloned. Like, it wasn't his plan. That's interesting. And is the dude doing Solus's voice, is that the same one as in Shadowbringers? Because he sounds a bit different. If it's the same dude, he definitely, like, locked into the character while doing Shadowbringers. If not, then I'm glad they got somebody different. Because there's some things he says that sound like him, but other things that doesn't quite have the same tone. And I don't know, like attitude. But either way, the writing is still good. The character is great. I mean, he's all right here. You know, he just seems like, you know, your kind of ominous type of villain, but obviously gets so much better. Thank you for watching this video. Tonight's stream, like so many of them, particularly recently, was absolutely excellent. We finished off Stormblood. And as just a quick preview of the usual review I give during, you know, the credits of the expansion, it was phenomenal. And I think I may actually like Stormblood more than Heavensward. Ooh. But yeah, and so now we'll be moving on to Shadowbringers, which I've been looking forward to so much. So yeah, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to come join me live, which I would much appreciate, the link to my Twitch is in the description down below. Thank you again for watching, and have a good one.